Hello, welcome. Today in Rebuilding Ourselves After Abuse, I want to talk about love. It's such a confusing thing when you've come out of any sort of abuse because you probably really loved that person and believed that person loved you. So when the mistreatment started, it was really, really confusing for you. You didn't understand why, if you love me, are you going to treat me like this? And the reason is because abusers or anyone who likes to abuse other people do not have a good understanding or grasp of what love is. They have like a bent form of love. Most of these people are fairly cold-hearted, not open-hearted people. They often lack compassion and empathy. That's why they can hit you or yell at you or hurt you and not feel anything. Of course, they always do their little victim thing and say they're sorry afterwards, but not at the time. Therefore, there's a lot of confusion for you around love and the way you are with this person. And that's because their capacity to love is small. They do not love big, they love small. And they love in a conditional way. They talk to you and love you in a conditional way. Everything's got conditions. And of course, conditional love is all about punishment and making the other person suffer. So I'll love you when you do as I'm telling you to do, or behave yourself, and when you don't, I will not love you anymore. I will withdraw it, and then I will punish you and make you suffer until you do as you're told, and then I might give you some love. They sort of dole out the love like, bits and pieces of it that you get, and you're supposed to be so grateful. If you've been abused when you were a child, you would be used to conditional love. You wouldn't have had unconditional love. You won't even know what that is, actually. You might love unconditionally, but you would not have experienced it in your household. And if the parent who was abusing you was loving you conditionally, and even if the other one wasn't, they loved you unconditionally, they would have actually done what the abuser did anyhow. So the parent who was scared of the abuser would have just let it happen. They might have tried to make up with you and do things for you. In my case, my mum was really scared of my dad, but she'd buy stuff for us all the time. So she'd be making Barbie doll clothes and look after us in that way and do special things for us, because that's the only way she could do it in that household, because she couldn't change anything. And this is going to make a huge impact on you when you grow up, because you'll end up probably attracting that to yourself. I did. I kept attracting people who only knew how to love conditionally. And it was really bad, actually, because I didn't cotton on for ages what was happening, and I just kept attracting them. I also attracted them in my marriage. So I loved my partner unconditionally, and he loved me conditionally. And it wasn't until later I actually realised it. I just thought the lovers were love. I thought love was love. So when he said he loved me, I believed him, and I think he did, but it was conditional. And it was taken away when you didn't do what they wanted, or they're having a big sulk. You know what I'm talking about. When we love in that way, we actually usually find it really easy to mistreat people, because we have a switch on, switch off thing with them. So we just go cold on them, and we can be punishing and harsh and mean and cruel, and we don't have a problem with it, because we're not in a place of love then. Once you switch it off, you're coming from power and control. And that's what conditional love is. Conditional love is power and control, whereas unconditional love isn't. It's just love. I'm doing this podcast because I think once you start to understand what you came out of, or what you are still in perhaps, is conditional love, you'll have much better chance at dealing with it and understanding what's happening to you. And you won't feel like, well, why are you like that? You'll understand why. Because the punishment is very, very strong with conditional love. If you stand up to people who love you conditionally, and you stand up to them, they will punish you. They might do it passively, but they'll still do it. Withdraw from you. They'll withdraw the love from you. They won't give you any attention. That's the more subtle one. Or they'll just be really horrible to you. That's the not so subtle one, and you can get that one as well. It's important for you to understand that if you come out of abuse, you really don't know what love is. And because you don't know what love is, you will find it very difficult living down here, because you'll just think all the loves are the same, and they're not. The other thing that will happen to you is that you don't love yourself You just don't. You don't grow up with people who were unconditionally loving you, accepting you, not judging you, never requiring you to be anything but who you were. And because you didn't grow up with this, or you haven't been having this in your adult relationships, you will not have an understanding that you don't love yourself, because you don't. Because everything people say to us, as I said in my other channel on what kids need, when we tell a child certain things, that becomes their inner dialogue. That's the voice they hear. They hear our voice telling them, I'm stupid, I'm fat, I'm no good, I'm naughty, I'm bad. That becomes their inner dialogue. And that happens in your childhood, but it can also happen in your adult relationships. When you keep attracting these same partners who love you conditionally, they will tell you you're too fat, you're no good at cooking, you're stupid, you're an idiot. And that becomes your inner dialogue. And because you have that inner dialogue, which is so negative about yourself, and you're hearing it in your head, and you're being told it, of course, to reinforce it, you don't love yourself. And that's where I want you to go. I want you to start to learn to love yourself more. Every day, 10 things that are good about yourself. If you can stand in front of a mirror and say, I love you, I love you, I love you, it's the most powerful thing you can do. Just do it every day. Say 10 good things about yourself, and then stand in front of that mirror and say, I love you. When I first did it, I just cried. I actually could barely get it out of my mouth. And I just kept doing it and doing it and doing it. And I want you to do that, because you need to build the love up in yourself and learn to love yourself. And that's the good bits, the okay bits, and the bits you don't like that much. And you can work on those and improve them. But you need more love. And you need to give yourself more love. And you need to love yourself more. Because when you love yourself in that way, that's unconditional love. You give to yourself. And you probably have never had it. And once you start giving yourself unconditional love, you will find it, of course, easier to give to others, but you will attract people who give you unconditional love, and you will start to feel those other people are just sliding out your life. You'll stop investing in them. If they're going to punish you because, you turned up too late for the coffee outing because you got held up in traffic, and then they won't answer your text, let them go. Let them go and do little punishing things as long as they like. You don't need people like that who are going to be mean to you. You already did that. You don't have to keep doing that anymore. They can chase you. You're probably the better person anyhow. Love is really hard to define, but I would say that when we feel loved constantly, and the person is always there. They just feel like they're just standing there still loving us. They support us. They encourage us, they empower us, they make us feel good about ourselves. They tell us when they think we need to be told something that we might not be seeing, but then if we don't do it, we don't get punished. If they say, I don't think you should be going out with loser number 5, John, and we keep going out with them, they don't punish us. They still love us. They accept us. That's what you want to attract into your life, and that's what you want to see. And I want you to put a big tick for unconditional love, a big tick for that, for yourself and for who you have in your life. I think it's good if you write a list. I sort of had a look at people, and I did it in my head, but you can do it on paper too. Write down who you think loves you unconditionally, who's always there, who never gives you a hard time, who says to you, I think you're stupid doing that, but hey, if you need to do it, just do it. And then they go, do you want another cuppa? You want those people in your life because you haven't had them, you see. You didn't get them maybe in your childhood, and you maybe didn't get them in your adult relationship, so you need to get those people. Love is a very hard thing to define, but it makes you feel special. When someone loves you in a good way, they make you feel special, and they make you feel safe, and they make you feel secure. And you definitely don't feel that when you're being abused. You definitely don't feel any of those things when you're in an abusive situation. And remember that a lot of people are emotionally abusive, mentally and psychologically abusive, which is pretty hard to put on the table. It's easy if they just hit you, that you just know it happened, or they scream at you. So watch out for that. Emotional abusers are very powerful. They're the ones who withdraw it and go cold on you. And to be quite honest, I don't think abusers are really very good people. They often veer towards being narcissists and psychopaths. They also are fairly cold-hearted, often very tight with their emotions, and I think actually often tight with their money. Can be very manipulative, and you need to start becoming aware of that, because they're selfish and it's all about them and their needs. Your needs don't really count unless it's going to affect their needs, and they always put themselves first in the relationship with you. It's always about them in the relationship with you, whereas I'm sure in the relationship you have with them, you put them first. And have a look at that. You can look all around you and look at some of your friends and family, and who puts you first in the relationship with you, and who's always putting themselves first. They're usually the ones that are cancelling on you or changing it, or not inviting you to the party and then telling you about the great party, because they don't care about actually how you feel. Because that's the thing, you see, an abuser doesn't care about how you feel. It's only about how they feel, and that's conditional love. Go away, have a look at your world, have a look at what you came out of. It wasn't your fault, but it is now in your power to change it, to start saying no to conditional love, no to it. If you've got people you can't get rid of, like your mum and your brother and maybe your best friend, minimize it, but know what you're dealing with now, and know that you'll stay with them, but you know what they're capable of. And don't be so affected. When they punish you, just let them punish you, and just put them in the naughty corner for a while. They can just be over there doing their punishing thing and just get on with your life. That way they'll affect you less. And bring love into you. Every night when you go to bed, fill yourself up with love. If you can't do it in a kind of a way, do a visualization where you fill yourself up with pink light, and keep loving yourself and keep saying the stuff in the mirror, because the more you love yourself, the more you heal yourself. And we all need to heal from the abuse we've come out of. And the biggest way to heal from the abuse we've come out of is to love ourselves unconditionally, because that's the one thing we were never taught. But this is where you can go to heal yourself, because the reason you feel so crap is because you weren't loved properly. And the love you got was a really poor form of love. I don't even know if I want to use that word love, because within conditional love there's so much power and control and manipulation, and I would say there's a little bit of love and a hell of a lot of the other stuff, whereas in unconditional love it's mostly just love. It's just love, and that's what you want to look for in your life now. Well, it's been quite a strong podcast, but I feel quite passionate about it, because I think that's the missing link for people who've been abused. They never got loved correctly, and they never learned to love themselves. That's why we keep attracting the same pattern, the same person. I'm sending you lots of love and learn to receive it from other people, by the way. That's another one. When people love you, take it all in. Don't reject it. Take it all in. You can be loved. You can be told you're wonderful. It's great. And I hope this helps you for this week.